And to the SBNM 5212 students, I can't believe it's week 5 already. It's kind of crazy how quickly this is going. And it seems like we just started a week ago. But let me go through what's going on here. All right. I've made clear to all of you, after starting off pretty rigid on due dates, that in this crazy time when a class was supposed to be face-to-face and now it's online, I've got softer on the due dates. In other words, you don't have to turn it in whenever. But there's a limit to whenever. Whenever ends May 4th, 3 weeks from today. Because that's when class ends. The semester is over. Classes are done. I'm not giving you a final exam, so that's it. I'll give you a couple more days, maybe, because I have lots of stuff to grade, but all your stuff's got to get in. So hopefully you'll do that. We've been using the Hawks books after the first 2 weeks, and I think that's been better. I think the Keat book is a little bit tough to do. The problems are harder, and it's not as spoon-fed as the Hawks book. You might say it's an undergraduate book that we're using. Yeah, that's true. But we're going at twice the pace. So there is some rigor and some dynamic there that we have to acknowledge. 2 things about Hawks. First, if you have trouble signing on, it's probably because you're using Safari as your internet, as your web explorer, as your browser. Stop doing that if you have that trouble. Sometimes it has trouble with, the Apple version, the Apple web browser. Sometimes it doesn't. But if you have trouble and you're using Safari, use Chrome or use Firefox. Those are better choices, and usually a problem goes away. Number 2, everybody's freaking out. Some people are freaking out about their grade being lower. Well, somehow between Canvas and Hawks, it counts all the Hawks assignments as zeros. You've got zeros on your Hawks assignment until you actually do them. So your grade, which might have been like, I'm doing 90%, all of a sudden drops to like 40%. Well, it really didn't. And as you do the Hawks assignments, you'll finish. The Hawks assignments are pretty steady. There's, lessons in each section of the textbook. Do those, you have unlimited tries. There's a quiz at the end of each chapter. Do those, you only have 2 tries. And the quizzes are worth more, but not that much. Also, so that's it on Hawks. Just make sure you get to it and get it done, and get it all done before May 4th. Okay, last week, I think it was the May 5th week, or April 5th week, sorry. I had the Tragedy of the Commons paper, and I had it due Easter Monday, today. And then I realized, oh my God, I'm only giving them 1 week to do it. I give everybody 2 weeks to do papers. So do that. Here's the actual paper you want to read underneath it, and go in here and look at the assignment. What does the assignment say? An overview of the article, which part got your interest and why? Why do you think we're able to avoid the kinds of issues? What do you think we will be able to do to avoid the issues raised in this paper? What solutions would you propose? Why do you think the solutions will work? Read the rubric. It's right down here. Overview of the Tragedy of Commons. What is it? Tell me in your own words. You don't do that, you don't get points here. What perspective did you focus on? He raised so many things in that paper, and it's kind of a long, tedious paper to read, not unlike my lectures. Which part did you focus on? And what's your reaction and proposed solutions? You've got to do these 3 things. Now, if you label your paper, Overview of the Tragedy of the Commons, and what perspective did you focus on, and your reaction and proposed solutions, all you'll do by doing that is irritate me. This is not a question and answer. You're writing your own essay. Don't use my actual titles as the outline of your paper. Generally, you can do that. But for some reason, when you physically actually use these same words, I don't react well. I try not to grade harder, but if I'm not reacting well, I'm probably not grading as easily as I might otherwise. So just know that. Also, everybody wants to know how long a paper should be. I never assign lengths in my papers, just so someone can ask the question, Professor, how long should the paper be? Well, the reason I don't assign lengths is because if I was your boss and you came to me and I given you an assignment to prepare a white paper or do a report or whatever on something, some company that we were competing with, and a write up and a PowerPoint presentation, and you came to me, well, boss, how many words do you want the paper to be? I'm going to think, why did I hire this person? It has to be long enough to cover all, to express yourself very clearly, and short enough not to be too tedious. Now, some people think getting away with 3, 4, maybe 500 words might be enough. Oftentimes it's not, but there's been 300-word papers where I'm like, oh, I'm going to tear this paper apart. And I read it and I'm like, well, that was pretty good. Let me read it again. Wow, it was really good. They covered everything. They're a brilliant writer. That happens like 2 times out of 1,000. So unless you're that brilliant writer, you're probably going to have to be somewhere between 500 and 1,000 words on this paper. That doesn't mean 501. And I do look at the word count sometimes. And if you're at 501, what are you telling me? Oh, I hit the lower limit of how long the paper should be. I'm done. No, it's graduate school. Don't do that, please. Learn something, write the paper, let your mind explore the topics and enjoy. You're paying for an experience and an education, and this will force you to think about things. So do that. If you haven't done paper 1, do paper 1. Don't leave it. Work is piling up. We've got 3 more weeks of work left. So we're in week 5 now. We're covering chapter 8. And chapter 8 is, I put a video lecture for this. It's blissfully only 35 minutes. But it's on perfect competition. There's 4 kinds of market conditions. Perfect competition on one extreme, monopoly on the other extreme, and in between you have monopolistic competition and oligopolies. So this week we're covering perfect competition, and we're covering the next chapter, which is chapter 9, which is monopolies. You don't necessarily have to watch the videos. It could be helpful if you think I explain things and kind of set you up to then go do the Hawks learning parts. Go do the Hawks learning parts. Notice that in my version here, the things in green are what you will see. The things that are darkened will not show, like the PowerPoints for the old Keat book. And notice we're not having a final exam presentation and paper in this class because that's better in a face-to-face class. I changed the discussion for this week. So your homework this week is to do the Hawks learning lessons for chapters 8 and 9 and the quizzes for 8 and 9. And here's the discussion for this week is on kind of a perfectly competitive market. Perfectly competitive markets tend to be agricultural in nature. And you'll read about it, but basically in the San Joaquin Valley and Central California, where Fresno seems to be in the heart of it all. And I know a little bit something about this because there's a lot of Armenians in Fresno. I'm Armenian. And I know people that are actually changing their farms from being raisin growers to almond growers. And they're doing it at such a rapid rate. You've probably noticed, now that I've mentioned it, that almonds are a lot more plentiful. Well, they're so plentiful, are we anticipating a glut of them? So based on what you've learned so far, provide a good microeconomic summary of what is happening in this industry, in the almond industry. Why are San Joaquin farmers switching from raisins to almonds? You probably want to read and do chapter 8 first, would be helpful. Do you believe in such a scenario that it is inevitable we will have a glut? If you look at almond production, and this is from the federal government, let me move this over here. This is recent data. And you can see if you draw a straight line through here, almond production is going up in a straight line. That's almond production has gotten spotty. That's probably related to weather. But the acreage devoted to almonds has grown almost linear upwards and maybe starting to even curve up a little bit. So you'll see the price of almonds coming down, almond butter, almond everything, almond milk, all of these products that are related to this industry. You only really have to read the first page of this document and really understand the graphs. It's the 2 Wall Street Journal articles that are more pressing to read. Oops, I didn't mean to show this either. That's from another class. Okay, so you got that. I said make your first post by Thursday and finish by 10 o'clock Sunday. Thursday is just guessing, it's an interim point to say you should get your first posts done Thursday, Friday, to give people ample chance to comment on yours on Saturday and Sunday. All right, thanks very much. And let's go backwards. And I think that's it for this week. Next week, we will probably cover the next 2 chapters, 10 and 11. And then 12 and 13, and we're done. That's it. That's the whole class. And I'll give some more exercises. I'm probably not assigning another paper unless you really want an extra paper. Sometimes I assign an extra credit paper to if your grades have been low and you think you need something to bolster your grade a little bit. I'm not against that, and I'll see. But you've got to get your stuff done so that I can give you an estimate of what your grades are. All right, thank you so much, and we'll talk to you soon.